Assalamualaikum. Welcome to this video tutorial on Windows Phone 8 for students at King Faisal University and for others who want to learn mobile app development. This is part 9 in the series entitled Condition Statements and Controls for Windows Phone 8 App Development using C#. The resulting value when using comparison and logical operators is a Boolean value of either true or false. In the example, the condition 5 is equal to 7 results to false, while 5 is not equal to 7 is true. When using AND logical operator, both conditions should result to true to have a final value of true. But for OR, at least one condition needs to result to true to have a final value of true. Here are the formats when using if-else or switch statements. Three of the selection controls that we're going to use for this tutorial are CheckBox, RadioButton, and ListBox. In the main page's content panel of our first app, we will place a text block and a checkbox. Then we will change the text properties to Welcome to KFU and Bold respectively. We will then create a click event for the checkbox that toggles the font weight property of text block between extra bold and light. Let's create our first project. We'll name it app 9_1. Okay. Now let's change our titles. From my application, we'll make it app 9_1. And our page name, let's start with using if-else. Now let's click our content panel and let's go to the toolbox. We need a text block and a checkbox. Our checkbox is here. We'll name it as CBX1 and the content will change it to bold. Our text block will name it to TBK1 and its text will change it to Welcome to KFU. Now we're ready to make an event for our checkbox. Let's make it that's checkbox click method. So first we'll simply compare the isChecked property of checkbox 1 with the Boolean value true. And if it is true, then we will change the font weight of our text block there, font weight, to extra bold. To do that, we have to select font weights and the value extra bold there. Else, then the font weight of our text block 1 will simply be light. Okay, again, font weights dot light. Okay, let's try to run it. So here's our app. If we check it, it becomes bold. Actually, that's extra bold. And if we uncheck it, it will go back to light. We will continue with our app by creating a user selection to align to the left, center, or right the current text block by using 3 radio buttons. We will put them in a group name called RDB. Okay, so let's go back to our SAML. Let's go to Toolbox. We need a radio button. There is our radio button. Let's put it below. Go to its properties. Let's name it RDB1. We'll change the content to left for left alignment. We'll put the group name RDB. Okay, let's go to the events. And that's the checked. We'll make one checked method for all the radio buttons. So we'll just make it RDB checked and we'll go back still in main page SAML and we'll change this to RDB checked. So they will be calling this method RDB check. Let's look at the SAML. There, it's calling RDB checked. So for now, we'll just simply copy this radio button twice. The second is for RDB2. And its content will be center, and another one, this is RDB3 Remember that they are in one group, all the three of them. And this we're going to change to right. Now we can go back to our event RDB checked and write our code. So this time we will not just compare it to the true Boolean value. Instead, we're going to convert it already. So this is another way. If you look above, we simply compared it to the true Boolean value. This time we're going to use convert to actually convert to Boolean there. This RadioButton one dot is checked property. There is checked property. So if it is, we can already change the horizontal alignment there of our text block to horizontal alignment dot left, which is actually the default. Else, we'll just copy, Control C. If RadioButton 2, that is center, so we'll make it center there. And the last, else, Control B. If RadioButton 3 is checked, then the alignment will change to right. Okay, let's try to run it in our emulator. Okay, so try. It's now left, so choose center, right, and go back to left. That's good. For our second app, we'll create one that accepts an amount in Saudi Riyal using text box and will allow a user to select one out of three options: US dollar, Japanese yen, and Indian rupee. Finally, it should compute and display its equivalent amount using a message box. So let's create a new project. File, new project. We'll name it app 9_2. Okay. Let's change our titles. This is now app 9_2, and our page name, let's change it to using switch. This time we will use the SAML editor to create our list box. So we'll just make it a little wider. Okay, there. So starting with the list box markup, we'll name it LBX1. Let's change the width to 200. Okay, so inside it, we'll declare some list box items. There. Okay, inside it, we'll declare three contents. So here now our list box items. And the contents starting with the US dollar. Just copy this. Control C and Control B and Control V. The second one is for Japanese yen. And the third one is for Indian rupee. Okay, so you can see our list box now in our design panel. Let's just make it a little smaller. We also need a text box, so maybe we can use our toolbox for that one. There is our text box. Sorry, there is our text box. Let's put it a little down. We'll name it to TBX1 and we'll delete its text property. So to create our event for the list box, so let's select again our list box, go to its event, and there's an event for selection change. Double click it, Now we can write our code here. So let's declare some variables. Let's have this variable Saudi Riyal that will hold the value in the value of Saudi Riyal that is placed in our text box. We'll make it double. So this is tbx1.text. Next is we'll have another variable for the equivalent. Let's make it EQ. Let's initialize to 0. Okay, now we can use our switch statement. So the best is to use the selected index property of our LBX1. It's an integer, so that's the selected index, which starts with 0. So let's create now. If it's 0, then that means that's the first selection, the US dollar selection. So EQ will be equal to Saudi Riyal multiplied by 0.27. We'll simply break it. That's our line. We'll just copy it 3 times. Control C, Control B, and Control B. So if it is 1, that is for Japanese yen, and 2 is for Indian rupee. For Japanese yen, 1 Saudi Riyal is equal to 26.33 yen. And for Indian rupee, 1 Saudi Riyal is equal to 16.5. Now all we need to do is to create the message box. There, as a message box, we'll use the show method. So its equivalent is, let's put here, plus EQ, and since this is double, we're going to convert it to string. That's it, class. Let's try to run it in our emulator. So if I have oh, we forgot the input scope. Let's try to go back. Main page Tamil, our text box. In the property, there's the input scope. Make it number so that we will see only numbers. Let's try again in our emulator. Let's click our text box there, better. So if I have 100 Saudi Riyal, its equivalent in dollar is 27. In Japanese yen, it's 2,633. And Indian rupee, it's 1,650. Okay, so that's it. We just completed some apps using condition statement and selection controls. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Ma salama.